Good morning, everyone. This is your host, Ghazala with episode number 4 of my podcast, The Ebb and Flow of Life. I am an average person who knew very little about art and the art making process. I must admit that I have learned a lot more about art during my interviews with Aisha Khan and Susan Fricke for episode number 3 and 4 for my podcast. Both these artists have helped me uncover new insights. I visited Susan in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in December 2019. She gave me a tour of her home studio. I saw some of her artwork and it was very apparent that she had put in a lot of work into it. I have visited quite a few art galleries in my lifetime. And, I would just go to the art gallery, view the beautiful artwork, admire it, and just come home. But after talking to both these artists, one day I sat down and went through all the pictures that I had taken at these art galleries. My conversation with both of them have helped me develop empathy and a connection with history. Yes, looking at art is an emotional and independent experience. Each person looking at a work of art will view it through the lens of their life and draw a different meaning based on what they see.
Hello, Ghazala. I'm happy you invited me to do this podcast with you.
I'm very happy to have you. Welcome to my podcast, The Ebb and Flow of Life, episode number 4, Why Art? Let's start by you telling our listeners, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Susan Fricke Einadine Carlisle, but I go professionally just by my birth name, as I've been painting and exhibiting since the age of 14. And over my lifespan, I have done many things, but they all have been some facet of art. I have done that theater design, museum dioramas, and retail store displays. I have painted public and private murals, including in the Trump Taj Mahal casino in Atlantic City. I also taught K-12 here in the U.S. and KA level Oxford, Cambridge, and Karachi, Pakistan. But the last 25 years, I've been a professional freelance illustrator and painter out of my own in-home studio.
What is your background?
I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Illustrating and Painting, and also a K-12 teaching certification from University of the Arts in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My illustrations have been for children's books and periodicals, book arts, calendars, greeting cards, and a whole array of things. The medium I use depends on what I am doing. Children's books, I usually use colored pencil, ink, watercolor, and gouache.
What research do you do?
The fascinating thing about illustrating that I love is all of the things you learn doing research. Illustrators sometimes you have to do a lot of research. For instance, for a book of Elizabethan fairy poems and songs that I illustrated, I had to know the difference between all the different kinds of lichens and moss and fungus and all the different kinds of wildflowers and berries, the difference between dragonflies and damselflies, all the different types of butterfly wings and insect wings, a whole array of things. I once had to illustrate the life cycle of a garbage can for a children's science CD, and I had to learn about the whole life cycles of insects such as flies, cockroaches, and ants. Pretty gross, but it was also fascinating and educational.
Susan, do you paint just professionally, or sometimes do you paint for pleasure?
When I paint and draw for pleasure, I like to do still lifes of flowers and fruit, usually in oil. Or I like to do figurative work, which I usually do in charcoal or graphite or pastels.
What is your favorite style of art?
My favorite style of art is Art Nouveau. I love Alfonso Mucha and Toulouse-Lautrec. I love Pre-Raphaelite. I love Impressionist. In fact, when I was in high school, I worked in an art factory which reproduced good quality Impressionistic painting copies. And at first I started out with Cézanne Peaches, and then they moved me to the Van Gogh room area. And at first I was doing irises, and then I ended up doing sunflowers.
I'm really curious to know, is the artistic life lonely? Is it boring?
Being an artist is never boring or lonely. Between the beauty of the real world and the excitement of your own inner imagination, there's no time for boredom.
What is the best piece of advice you have been given?
My grandmother, who I got most of my artistic fascination from, said only a boring person can get bored, and I truly believe that.